What's up, everybody? Welcome to Invest and Talk. I am Denny Chow. Before we begin, I just want to go over a couple of things. Number one, you got to hit that subscribe button. Number two, you got to hit that bell button if you want to get any notifications anytime I upload a video. And number three, and this is just a disclaimer, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you what to do. Everything's just for educational purposes. Please take investment risks at your own risk. So here at Invest and Talk, we like to do one thing. We like to talk about investments. So let's talk. So the number one stock for 2021 that I am looking at is Canopy Growth. Canopy Growth is a wheat company that I've been looking at for a long time, and we'll go over it. But this company is sound. It is the biggest market capital wheat company in the entire world, and we all know that the wheat industry is going to grow. But before I even give you my opinion, let's go over some facts right now with the slide. All right, guys, we're looking at Canopy Growth. This right here, let's just do a quick summary of what they are. Canopy Growth is the first federally regulated, licensed, publicly traded cannabis producer in North America. They're a huge company. They've been around for a while. They trade on the New York Stock Exchange. And let's just jump right into it. So Canopy Growth, most people have this misconception that Canopy Growth is nothing but a weed company, which they are. But let's look at some of the things that I liked about Canopy Growth. First of all, marijuana. Marijuana is a huge player in the market, is one of the highest growing potential industries that hasn't been really tapped into. In the last couple of years, there's a couple of states that have been legalized marijuana, and we've seen revenue grow from a medical standpoint and a recreational standpoint. But one thing that I do like about Canopy Growth is first because of their derivatives. And what I mean by derivatives is the things that are outside a little bit of just somebody that's just smoking marijuana for fun, right? So the first thing I would like to point out is that they are in partnership with this company called Spectrum Therapeutics. So Spectrum Therapeutics is focused on developing, researching clinically ready whole plant cannabis drug formulation and close delivery system. And so in other words, what they do is they sell medical cannabis. And we know that medical cannabis is big because it's legalized almost everywhere for a medical standpoint with marijuana. So by them partnering up with Spectrum Therapeutics, Canopy Growth is looking more than just the recreational side. They're looking at every avenue that is able to tap into revenues with the use of cannabis. Another big thing that I liked about Canopy Growth that I was looking into is some of the other partners they have is R&D advancements. So R&D advancements by Ebus, I think that's how you pronounce it, is cannabis genetic breeding program and its cannabis infused beverage capabilities. So if you haven't noticed, Canopy is being distributed in so many ways. For recreational purposes, we first known about it by people just smoking it. Second, then people started cooking it. And now there's a new brand of names out there that Canopy is going into beverages. So something like a beer that you're drinking and that alcohol level, but they're planning to put THC in it and be able to have more people enjoy the THC in a way that is not just inhaling it through smoking. A little quicker, better way, a more social environment would be drinking it through beverages. And I don't know how many people are fond about this, about vapor, but for what it is worth, Stores and Bickle are the designers and manufacturers of the only medically approved vaporizers in the world. So this is vaping, which we all saw the rise in vaping in the last couple of years. Of course, with the news that vaping causes so many health issues, that was a huge problem that I wasn't really so fond about Canopy Growth getting into. But with this partnership, this is a medically approved vaporizers in the world. So they aren't just some guys that are selling vapor. They're medically approved. So we talked about the derivatives. So the fourth quarter came out for Canopy Growth, which the derivatives produce less than 2% of their overall sales. Well, that wasn't good at first, but going on into the first quarter in 2021, the cannabis derivatives already accounted for 9% of companies' growth. You're talking about a 2% to 9%. That is a 400% gain. So that right there is the growth potential, tapping into the vapor side, tapping into the medical side, tapping into the beverage side, and all these derivatives that account for their revenue that's just outside of their overall growing revenues from marijuana. So we want to get into some numbers. So this was the Canopy's fourth quarter. It wasn't so good. If you read here, they did generate a $399 million fiscal year 2020 revenue. That is huge in the market right now. That means that right now they're growing almost double every year. One thing that did draw to me that we like to point out here at Invest and Talk is the good and the bads. Right here, if you see on the bottom here, it says a net loss of 1.3 billion, which concerned me a lot, which it does still concern me. But we read up here, a lot of that loss has to do with the reconstruction charges of $743 million. Restructuring charge that I was looking into was more about how they're just blowing through cash, and they're coming out with innovation on their growing farms and how to use it properly to cut down costs. So this $743 million, which accounted for a net loss of their 1.3 billion, was actually going to generate revenue or at least profit margin in the long run. So looking at it, it does seem bad, but remember, 70% of that came from investing into their own company. And one thing that is worrisome about the 1.3 billion that most of people are thinking about, that is a lot of cash to lose. But this is where it gets interesting. Canopy Growth's #1 investor is no other than Constellation Brands. And if you don't know about Constellation Brands, with everything going on with the COVID-19, everybody heard about Corona, right? But it's not the coronavirus. We're talking about the Corona drinks. We're talking about all these beverages that this company makes. This is a well-known company, but of course they are well known for their Coronas, which I'm sure everybody that's 21 and up had at least heard of it, if not tried it or drank it at least sometime last year or this year. So they are a big stake into Canopy Growth. Back in 2017, the beverage maker invested $245 million in Canadian money, which is and acquired 9.9% stake in Canopy, which is huge given how big Canopy is. $245 million is a lot. Well, it gets even better because in 2018, Constellation Brand invested additional $5 billion in Canadian money to the pot grower, which actually brought their stake up from 9.9% to 38.6%. And why is this important? Well, looking at a company that's burning through a lot of cash, you're thinking that it has to be backed up by something, right? And that's where it gets interesting looking at Constellation Brands, because if they own over 30% stake in this company alone, let's look at their balance sheet. Right now, as of February 29th, 2020, Constellation Brand is holding $81.4 billion of cash and cash equivalents. That means that, not including inventory, not including any goodwill or anything outside of that, just alone cash and cash equivalents, they're holding $81.4 billion. So if you had a company that's holding $81 billion, you think they will let a company that they're invested heavily in fail? That right there is so interesting to me, because I know that Canopy Growth is going to outgrow all these competitions, not because anything outside of their innovation, about their name brand, their loyalty, loyalty, but the fact that they are backed up by a well-known multi-billion-dollar corporation that's holding a huge stake in their company, and they still have $81 billion of cash to back them up if they need anything. Not to forget that Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart has stake in it as well. Let's look at the states that are marijuana is legal. First, we look at the green areas. These are where it's legal, recreational, and medical, which is not a lot. I think there's only 11 of them. Blue ones are the ones that are only medical marijuana legalization. How many more states of potentials that we have? 2020 president election coming up, which we have Democrats versus Donald Trump. And I don't know how you guys view it, and I won't put my political point of view into things, but let's look at some facts here. Democrats are even more favor of legalization with average supports of 78% across 4 generations. And on the bottom, every generation of Democrats surveyed supported marijuana legalization. So we're investing into this company. Not only do they have a huge company to back them up as they burn through cash, as they try to take up market shares, and they're having derivatives in other sectors as well. They are in a race to see who wins the presidency. If the Democrats win, the chances of legalized marijuana on a federal level is substantial. This company could have huge potential and huge growth in the next couple of years. It's already having a 70-something% growth without it being legalized, even 20% of our country. Imagine if half or the whole country get legalized. Imagine that revenue growth. Well guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Of course, that is my thoughts on the stock that I believe is going to be the best potential to double in, triple in your money into 2021. Of course, there's a lot of factors. There's a lot of other good companies as well. But as far as my age and my risk tolerance, I am definitely looking into the marijuana sector. Of course, I don't have 100% of my portfolio invested in it, and which you shouldn't either. But right now, they just had a huge pullback because of the $1.something billion loss on last quarter, and that right there showed a lot of investors that they are losing a lot of money. But as we dug into the research, we know that a lot of that went to reconstructing their company, making it into a better, more profitable company in the futures. If you're looking at their price to earnings, which they don't have any, because they don't have any earnings right now. A lot of companies that you may not know, for example, Tesla, just recently they've started earning money, but for the longest time they weren't making money, because it takes time for a company to make money, but they have to establish themselves in the marketplace, make their brand name known to everybody. But yeah, this is just one of my thoughts on it. I think it is a great company. You guys should look into it. But other than that, if you guys have any comments, what is your 2021 number one stock that you're looking at? Please leave those comments below. I will do another video sometime soon, so I hope you guys enjoyed everything. Other than that, you guys have a blessed day. I'll see you next time.